Hey, it's Katie, and you are watching Pop Culture with Pat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So on today's episode, we have a very special guest. We have Kadi from KadiVideo. Really excited to talk to her. She's done some awesome VHS releases, over the past couple of years. Excited to talk to her about that on the show. Thank you for coming on the show today, Kadi.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no problem. So obviously, you're a very, big fan of physical media. Just to kind of start things off, where did your love for physical media, kind of come from?
Well, I think in terms of my love for physical media, it really came from my dad. My dad, as one person I know puts it, is a bit of a dinosaur. He never really liked digital, hated it. And in fact, he loved the reel to reels, and he loved all of the vinyls and everything. So for me, it was just natural to really cling to physical media, whether it be the VHS, the cassettes, vinyl, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays. I love everything that's just physical. I feel like we kind of lose something when we bring everything to a streaming service and kind of get rid of that ownership and having that something in our hands, concrete. So
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. No, I love that feeling. You can't see it like here in the, the background, but on to my right side, I have a big shelf of, of Blu-rays, 4Ks and stuff like that. I got some, VHSs and stuff over here as well. But yeah, I love just having that physical object, like in your hand, seeing the cover art and everything. To me, it just adds like a whole nother, aspect to it. And it's something like you actually own too. It's not
exactly.
something on a streaming service where one day that could be gone. Like they might decide to, to take it down or whatever. So, and it's funny because a lot of that stuff now, I mean, mentioned like vinyl, VHS is like all that's seeing kind of like a resurgence right now, which is really cool. Yeah, to follow up on that, Kadi, so I guess where, because you've been doing this for, for a couple of years, now, like since at least I've been following your work, how did the idea for KadiVideo, come about for you?
It really came about from thinking back on my love for all the different video rental stores and even just the stores like Suncoast,
Oh,
going in and just smelling the wrapping on all of the different VHS and even the DVDs, and that feeling of being able to rent something from Blockbuster or even the local mom and pop places. There was a mom and pop shop from where I grew up called Top 10 Video. And I loved going in there and getting a gumball from the gumball machine and renting a video. And I just have so many fond memories of that I was like, I want to bring this back. And I know that there's a lot of like DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K out there, but I wanted to really bring back something nostalgic because I love the 80s and the 90s. And so I was like, let's bring that back. And
yeah.
let's also just bring it back with the unique cover designs, make it seem like something back from the 80s and the 90s, not just not just like, oh, the taking the movie poster, putting it onto a cover like they do with the DVDs.
Yeah, no, I definitely love the, how you do like the different covers for each one of them. Cause yeah, for me growing up, growing up kind of the same thing, Blockbuster and stuff like that. I remember going to those stores and walking in and, at the time where I was younger, maybe not knowing quite a few of these films and, walking around the aisles and you would see a cool cover. And a lot of times it would be like, you know what, I'm going to rent this and just take a chance on this because the cover art's really cool. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate the fact that yeah, you don't, it's not just whatever the poster art is. You take the time to design like your own cover art and put it on there. So that's really cool. Did I know you mentioned like the gumball machines. Did yours have? Because I think it was like Blockbuster. Did it have the where it's like if you got a certain one, you would get like a free rental?
Yes. So the guy who owned the place had a few white gumballs that he would put in his gumball machine. If you got the white gumball, you got a free rental. And he hated when I would come by because I would get about 3 gumballs and happen to just get a white gumball. He was like, no, not again. Really? How is this chick so lucky that she comes in, gets a white gumball, and gets a free rental? but it kept me coming back.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm sure over time between all the movies and stuff that you rented, it definitely, equaled out for, maybe the couple like free rentals that you got.
Yeah, and it pulled business away from Blockbuster, so it probably was worth it for him.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess you kind of like went into this, but just because there is so many types of physical media, DVDs, Blu-rays, VHSs. Why the decision to go with the VHS tapes? I know you said you were kind of talking about just like that nostalgic factor.
Yeah, so part of it is the fact that with the VHS, there's more physical space to actually do art. And so one of the things that I really love, which I had done The Boys, and with The Boys, I put some artwork along the spines. And with the DVD, you can't do that. Blu-rays, the steel books, it's even worse because they like to cram in as many of these discs as they possibly can into a single steel book. And with the VHS, there's more room. You can make all sorts of different art pieces. And beyond that, I love the box sets because then it gives you another level of artistic expression that you just don't really get with the discs.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, some of the box sets that you've done have been amazing. I know we were talking a little bit just about like, the Midnight Mass release that you did, the level of craft that went into just like designing, the box itself. I mean, never mind like each individual, tape. That was just, that was so cool. Now, I guess like kind of tying into that, I'm sure it's probably kind of hard because I'm sure you love every one of your releases, but is there a certain release for you up to this point that kind of sticks out to you, like in your mind, that was your favorite to work on?
Oh man, I think it changes every time I release something. It's like I make something and then afterwards I'm like, yeah, this one is my favorite. And then I make the next one and it's like, no, this one is my favorite. So it is really difficult to pick one. Probably Midnight Mass, just because I loved the show so much. And it actually made me want to go back to church.
There you go. Yeah.
Watching it, and I'm like, I want to go back and attend Mass, at least while I was watching the series. And afterwards, I'm like, maybe not. I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
That's great. No, yeah. I mean, the show is fantastic. That was one of my favorite shows from last year. And like I said, that release was so cool. Just with like the wood panels, the sliding like glass and everything. That take quite a while to put those like all together?
So I actually had a friend who's a carpenter work on actually building it, but in terms of the actual design, what I did was I used some foam boards you can get it like CVS, and cut the shapes and the dimensions, got some plexiglass and glued everything together so that I had a prototype to work with. And then he was able to then manufacture them from there.
Makes it a little bit easier after you get the prototype like going.
Yeah. So he's the one who then would go cut the wood and hammer it in, and I paid him for each box. And that's how it worked.
Awesome. Now, yeah, and as far as I guess just in general, so I mean, some of those they're a little bit more specific than others, but can you kind of walk us through the process of a new KadiVideo release from once you decide on the title, the cover art, production, and then actually releasing it?
So usually it starts with, there's two ways it can go about. Sometimes I think back on films that I really loved and never got a DVD release, or not DVD, a VHS release, I mean. Yep. And I'm like, all right, so let's go ahead and turn that into a VHS release. And then I go open up Photoshop, find all the different photos that I want to work with to kind of give me an idea of like the story I want to tell. Mm-hmm. And then from there, pull any other images from Shutterstock for more inspiration. And then I do my little thing that I want to keep secret in Photoshop, my little design process. And once that product is finished, I make sure to send it over to one of the local printers here. I know a guy, and he's able to make all of the prints for me. Then I score everything, cut everything, and fold up the prototype. And then from there, see what the reception is like. And if it's good or bad, and then get more prints made.
Go from there. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The other way in which it works out is sometimes I just happen to see something on Shudder, Netflix, or any indie film, and I'm like, this is such a good movie, and I think that it deserves the KadiVideo treatment.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because I was definitely curious, like how how you end up picking, some of the releases. But I like the fact that some of the films that haven't had a VHS unit release, like for example, the Scream 4 and Scream 5, which I was able to pick up from you. So that's cool getting to have those films get like a VHS release, where obviously they came out way after kind of like the VHS like era.
Yeah, I know. I even had a friend tell me, so when are you doing Harry Potter? When are you doing Harry Potter? When are you doing Harry Potter? It's like, that's a lot of movies to do. Okay.
Yeah.
There's only like 2 or 3 of them, I think, got like a VHS release. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that'd be a big project to do if you ended up doing all of them.
Yeah. He's like, maybe. I'm just telling maybe.
Maybe. Now, for you, I guess like, growing up, what were, some of your favorite VHS tapes, growing up, favorite covers that like, stick out to you?
So one of my favorite covers, and at the time that I used to see this cover, I hated horror. I didn't get into horror until my father rented Scream, and he told me, this isn't really a horror film. It's more like a thriller, a whodunit, okay? It's fine. You'll like it. You'll like it. And before that, I used to always see the Hellraiser poster, and it freaked me out. It really freaked me out. And so that one I really like. It's simple, but it's dramatic. Like you see that face and it's like, okay, this is gonna be a scary film. There's no way that this is like a rom-com or something.
No confusion.
So that one, yeah, that one stands out to me. And then when I was young, I really, really loved the movie Waterworld, and I loved the VHS for that. All of the Star Wars, all of the Indiana Jones VHS, all the Back to the Future, all of those. And then I'm trying to think if there was any other ones that were like.
It's funny because like a lot of, I almost feel like a lot of the VHS releases for me, thinking off the top of my head, like in some cases, some of the newer like the Blu-rays and stuff have had better like art, but for the most part, I feel like a lot of the VHS releases almost sometimes had better art than what the later releases had.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, especially when you think about like Back to the Future and Indiana Jones and the Star Wars, they tried to stay true to that. They tried to keep that.
Yeah,
but
I have it's over there, so I can't go get it. But the one that comes to, and actually I'm wearing like a Pumpkinhead T-shirt now, but like the Pumpkinhead VHS like release where it's like him like in the pumpkin patch or whatever. It's like a blue cover. That's like one that's like always, that's always like stuck out for me. And they never like use that on any of, as far as I know, as far as like the Blu-ray or like DVD releases or anything like that.
Yeah, they tried to be more artistic with the VHS releases, and in some ways, which I actually like, because they do the same thing with book covers. It looks more interesting sometimes than the actual film.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it and you're like, this is going to be a scary film, or this is going to be a really cute romantic movie. And then you watch it and it's like, no, you fooled me on this one.
Yeah.
Like Twilight. No. So I was like, Twilight's going to have that horror theme to it. I love that. I fooled you into thinking that it was something that it wasn't.
Yeah. I was saying a couple other ones that I got like over here. These are just like a few, but like Rugrats, for Nickelodeon, and you got to have like the orange tape.
Mm-hmm.
Wolfman. I grew up on these films. I mean, this was like some of the first early like horror movies that I ended up like renting. And then you got Goosebumps.
Yes.
So you can't go wrong. I'm so glad that I held on to those, because I definitely unfortunately, growing up, there's some VHS tapes that got sold in yard
Yeah,
sales or like flea markets and stuff that I'm like looking back on now and I'm like, damn, I wish that
yeah,
I had those. Like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? There was some like tapes in there that I had too. So um, now, actually, as far as speaking of like the orange tapes, because I know you've done different colored tapes. Is there like a specific process as far as like deciding which releases that get like a different color tape treatment? I know it's a little bit harder to get those like made right the different colors.
yeah, yeah. So actually, um, rest in peace, Rugrats movies, but that's oftentimes where the orange ones come from. So it's a good thing that you're holding on to that one because otherwise it would end up being a release here. Uh, but in terms of the movies, usually it's anything that has like well, first of all, it's usually going to be a horror film.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be releasing any of the more dramatic films into an orange cassette.
Yeah.
Then it's anything that I kind of put like a bit of an orange or yellow, warm toned color onto the actual sleeve. That I then like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give that the orange treatment, yeah, because it just wouldn't look so cool if it was like a purple. Well, actually, purple and yellow would work, but if it was green and orange,
yeah,
it might be a little bit too clashy.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I figured it had to do something with like kind of like matching up with the art. Now, you've had support from directors like in the past, specifically with like Mike Flanagan. Just what has that been like, with some of your releases, up to this point?
It's been wonderful. The fact that Mike Flanagan is so supportive is just, I mean, he's told me before about how much he loves the art. And I'm there thinking, I love your art. You're telling me you love mine. And I'm here, I love yours.
Yeah, it must have been kind of like a surreal moment. I'm sure, first time that, you heard from him or saw him post like one of your pieces of art, just being like, being a big fan of his work.
Yeah, yeah. But it's really great. I don't even know where to start with how appreciative I am of it and how much it's really, really helped. And not just Mike Flanagan. I mean, he's doing so much in terms of what can I do to help? Like, do you want like more photos of me holding the stuff, or like what can I do to help? But there's other directors that have also reached out and have been really amazing, like Brandon Christensen. I'm just like, he's so cool. And then even just like the support from Michael Kennedy, who wrote Freaky, which is one of my favorite movies. So I was just fangirling when I saw that he had loved the Freaky and had posted it on his Instagram. And even like the poster that I had sent him, like posted about it. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then I think I saw too, like even the guys from the new Scream Silence. So that I mean that's super cool. I mean, like from Mike specifically, just because like I'm a big fan of his work. And I'm sure like all these other directors, like as well. But you can tell like with Mike that from everything that I've seen that he's just such a big fan of film. I mean, like obviously where he's a director writer, but you can just like tell from just like the details that he puts into his work and stuff like that how much of a passion he has for the for the film industry. So that's really cool to get that recognition from him, I feel like too.
Yeah, because as I majored in theater with like a focus on screenwriting and playwriting. So the fact that he's also a writer and that he writes these characters that are just so deep and it really drives the plot. I'm like,
yeah, just that extra bit of connection.
Yeah, and then he loves physical media too. He has a deep appreciation for physical media. So it's like, yes, something we can bond on.
That makes sense. I can totally see that. And now, you've been doing this for a little while now. Like I said, when we were talking kind of before we got things going, I think I found you from the Trick or Treat release. I want to say it was like the first time I stumbled upon your page, but you've been doing this for a little while, doing your own, little business. So what are just some of the like obstacles and challenges you faced with running like your own, business kind of?
I think scalability. I think that was one of the big things. From the moment in which the opening things up and starting to post, it it grew a lot faster than I anticipated. I'll just put it that way. I thought, oh, just post a few VHS here and there and maybe have 1,000 followers tops. But no, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then after doing a design for Fear Street and then getting Ryan being like, hey, I want one. And it's like, wait, Ryan, what? What? Oh my goodness. And then posting like, look at this art. It just grew from there to a point where I was like, okay, this is something that's going to end up being a full-time thing. Like, I'm going to have to tell my job at some point, like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm busy over here. Yeah. Was it around like cause it's been crazy to see, like I said, I remember, kind of seeing you first, starting off there and, you had a pretty, good following like there at the time too, but just over these, these past couple of years and just seeing how much it's been fun to see how much, your business has grown and just all the different releases and stuff. So was it around like that time, like the Fear Street release was when things like really exploded for you?
Yeah, I would say so, because at that point, that's when suddenly everyone was like, oh, so can you do art for this? Can you do art for that? Can you do art for this? And people being like, oh, can I pay you like just a small amount of money and then you make like a commissioned art for me? I'm like, I don't have the time for doing a $35 commission right now.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to put into just doing, like, I imagine just like if you were to do a single release, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, because not only the art, but then having to get it printed, and you can't just be like, I only need one.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I'm not going to give you one sleeve. Here you go. Here's 15. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, I can definitely imagine. So, I mean, but that's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations on, your success that you've had, up to this point. It's been so much fun to see you have this, this success. Now, is there, because I feel like I've seen, I know you've done like the posters. I want to say, did you do like was there like a shirt like at one point? Did you have like one of your designs?
There was, yeah, there was a Dr. Sleep shirt.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not sure really, like in terms of if I'm gonna stick with the apparel.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm really picky, really, really picky when it comes to how I want the apparel to look.
Yeah.
So it might be something, but
okay.
In the meantime, I put it on the back burner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I was gonna ask you, is there any plans to like expand, Kadi KadiVideo as far as doing any kind of other releases, or is your plan right now kind of just to stick solely to like as far as like the VHS releases?
I mean, I think for now the VHS, but I'm definitely the kind of person that likes to think of product expansion. So we'll see. No promises that it's only going to be VHS.
Okay. Hey, no, that's totally fine. I'm definitely open for more KadiVideo, merchandise for sure. Now, I guess for you, Kadi, and I know this is kind of a question to think on, but what's your ultimate goal for KadiVideo?
The ultimate goal would be to bring VHS back. So I know vinyl had a resurgence, and I know Green Day really tried to help give cassette tapes their resurgence. And I would love to have VHS be brought back, and even VCRs, because I feel like we need that. It's especially with all the whole 80s nostalgia. Like, I love the 80s TikTok, like going on TikTok and looking at all the people doing their 80s inspired TikToks. So I think that Yeah, let's bring back the nostalgia. There's the nostalgia factor, I think, is what could really drive forward the return of VHS. And I would love KadiVideo to be in the forefront of that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you're right there. And I mean, like personally, me and like my friends, I have a couple of my friends where it's like, we go out to some of like the thrift stores like right now and trying to find, you can find some of the VHS tapes.
Mhm.
So, and you're starting to see them kind of pop up, in more places. So, I mean, that's flea markets, different things like that. So
Yeah.
it'd be cool to kind of, and actually, I mean, it's not exactly, I love what this was like a couple years ago, but I loved that, Netflix, which I'm hoping they do it again, but they did like, the Stranger Things like kind of themed like VHSs. So hopefully, yeah, VHS definitely. I feel like it's kind of like on its way, like the way that, vinyl was, where it's like I never thought that we were going to see vinyl come back in the way that it has. So I think that, and as far as that goes, yeah, I think you guys are definitely going to be like right there at the forefront. Now, for you, because I mean, it seems like every time I look at your page, Katie, you've got new releases coming out like all the time. So, what can, as far as like things that I guess you can speak on too, what can fans look forward to from KadiVideo for the rest of 2022? And is there anything else you want to just say to all the fans out there?
In terms of 2022, well, I know that everybody that started following from the beginning loves horror, and I love horror as well, but I'm also a very eclectic person. I love all types of music. I love all types of art, and I also love all types of films. So you'll probably see more romance and some more comedy, some more dramas, in addition to a lot more horror.
Awesome.
But I do have some plans for some romance films, like not horror romance, but
Yeah, just romance in general.
yeah. But I don't want to say what titles just yet.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
No.
still working on them. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll see them, soon for sure. Like I said, you're always, posting new stuff on your page. And yeah, I mean, is there anything else just as far as like in general to wrap things up? Is there anything else you want to say?
Sneak this right here. This
Oh,
is the second one. So you're the first person right now to see this, but
wow.
everybody on the YouTube channel may have already seen it now on the Instagram post. But this right here, the number 2, and it will be 4 that are going to be in the box set.
Awesome. And so, yeah, because I think I saw like your post. So you are doing like a box set release. Is it going to be a box set, just like straight box set release, or are you going to do like
Oh, it will not be a straight box set release. And after this will also be the Haunting of Hill House. And it, without saying too much, the 2 of them will fit together nicely. The 2 box sets will fit together nicely.
Ooh, okay. That's a great tease. Thank you, Kadi, for giving us that little preview. I really appreciate that. The art looks fantastic. I mean, as with like any one of your releases. But okay, so we got some sneak previews coming up.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, hey, Kadi, thank you again. So much. It was a lot of fun to have you, on the channel and to just talk things, about your channel in general, but just our love for VHS and movies. So thank you so much for taking time. I know you're very busy and coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Hey, it's Kadi, and you are watching Pop Culture with Pat.